But this is actually a question that almost everyone who is looking to transition into product management has at the back of their mind. And it's always, can someone without a tech background transition into product management?
Yes, I actually have a video about this on my YouTube channel, but the short
Okay.
story is that you really don't. You, it's helpful to understand the tech you'll be working with. It's helpful to talk to your developers to understand their process and have the common language, but you don't need to be an engineer. You don't need to ever have coded a single line of code, and that's sometimes actually not helpful because the product manager is the position which needs to have an open mind, which needs to listen to a lot of people, get a lot of input, and then make a decision on how to best guide the product forward. If the product manager is starting to thinking about code, how to structure it, what technology uses, that's not the time the product manager needs to dedicate. That's the time wasted in terms of what he or she should be focusing on, and that's for the dev team to figure out for him or her.
Great. So, all right. All right. So, what do you love most about being a product manager? And what's the least thing that you hate about being a product manager?
I really love to see positive client feedback. That is something that uh, justifies all the effort, all the meetings, all the creativity, all the difficult conversations, meetings, presentations, all that comes to getting something to the users and hearing their feedback. Well, what I hate is days where I have to have 9 or 10 hours of meetings, and that's, well, it's easier now when one is older and more wise and simply books time in one's calendar to private work, so
Okay.
no one puts you spontaneous call. But it's I think that I physically can only take 4 or 5 hours each day, and after that I'm just a mannequin with my own face sitting in the meeting, and I don't take any. My brain just refuses to take any input. But actually, what I really hate is to deal with company politics. This is something I really stay away from, and that is always the painful part of some of the businesses. I'm really happy to say that I have been with Microsoft for several months now, and so far no politics have appeared from anywhere.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Okay, so I am sure that as a product manager, you've built a lot of products in the past. And amongst all of these products, there must be a product where probably a feature failed, or maybe the product itself did not really perform as you expected it to perform. So how did you overcome this? And also, how did you handle bad feedbacks?
I Unfortunately, I don't have like any like very failed story. I recall that like my very first product in the small startup I worked was a real miss, as I did misunderstood my client needs, and I was focusing on providing a quick experience where the clients didn't expect it to be any quicker, and they preferred it to be more accurate to their expectations. So that was something that really got my hype, that I really worked tirelessly and with great optimism just to see that I have achieved, well, nothing, and I just complicated the interface, which I think that such a mistake on the first step on product management was very um humbleness inducing, and helps to remind me each day that it's about what clients think and not what I think the clients think. And maybe there's one thing that really pains my heart when I recall a gamification project I did for a job board app I was working for. which got really good results. It boosted all the key KPIs, the key performance indexes, so the numbers that represent the product, up for like 20, 30%. It was the most basic, the most minimal viable product version was a real success, but there was no support from the management or from the company to make it better, to grow it, to improve it. And instead I was asked to work on things that were not as successful and didn't have the same impact, and that's one of the reasons I'm no longer working there too.
So my next question is going to be about working with customers, I mean users. So how do you what's the best way to work with customers and users, basically?
Actually, this is a case of a compromise because at the same, I would be willing to say that it's best just to talk to your customers to make sure you understand their perspective. But at the same time, if you only listen to individuals, then you don't have the high level picture on what the clients need. And this is where the data drivenness comes into place. I always think that you should look at the general clients' data when there are tens, hundreds, even millions points of information that you can look over, but at the same time try to keep close to your clients, to listen to them, to listen to individual voices, not as a way of putting tasks directly to a backlog, but as an inspiration for the directions to explore. Say someone tells you that the product is working slowly for you. That doesn't mean that you need to put the engineers to make the product quicker, but instead you can use your analytics software to see what's the average speed of the product, how does it perform on different machines, different phones, and maybe you'll discover that it's simply like a niche where it works very bad, and then you can work with that niche in the context of your backlog, because this niche might give you some of the value, but there will be more valuable items to pursue. And that's what the product managers do, where we need to find the best opportunities that will provide the most value, whether that will be most happy users, most income, or most usage in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of risk. And and saying no to a manager or to a small group of clients is also a painful and not too proud part of this job. And I'm particularly a person who hates to say no, and I'm a people pleaser, but that's a skill that I had to grow in order to be better at my job.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, we have some questions in the chat box already. So I'd like to take two from the chat box. But before I do that, guys, I'd like you to know that Fore Media is actually helping Black-owned business to grow. So how are they doing this? They're actually helping, they empower Black business owners across the world. So what they do is they offer you free advertising program for basically Black-owned business. So all you have to do is go visit this link that I'll be dropping in the chat box, and then all you have to do is click and you get more information on it. It is a free advertising program, and I'm sure you don't want to miss out on this one. So I'll be dropping the link in the chat box, like I said, so you can just click on it and then, yeah. So Bart, this is for you again. And this person is asking, I'm coming. This question is from Blessing. So she's saying, what is the background knowledge needed for a newbie just trying to venture into product management? And then she says, what setback should one expect to have in mind prior to going into it? So I think this is long, so let me just take the first one again. What is the background knowledge needed for a newbie to get started in product management, of course?
There is non-specific background that you need to have. Do you it's good to have some higher education, and technology or business is the default place to go. But from what I observed over the years and what I also teach on my courses is that you have to be a passionate product manager at heart. And the key here, and it's regardless of your background, is to be able to demonstrate the skills and the experience when trying to get your position. Of course, it's really hard and it's the hardest to come from the university directly to product management. This does happen. It's not that uncommon. In fact, one of the product managers for Microsoft Edge browser is a graduate that I had pleasure to work with on few occasions, and it's so hilarious when I talk to her, and she's so casual about the position and doesn't have like this baggage that the older product managers have that had a more difficult journey to get to that position. But also, let me come back to the question. The biggest problem to get to product management is to have the practical experience, because that's nothing you can get from books. That's nothing you will get from online courses, and we have a chicken and egg situation. It's hard to get to product management without experience, but how to get the experience without doing the job. But you don't need the job to do the product management. There are a lot of projects you can take on by yourself to do the essential part of product management. If you start an ebook, a YouTube channel, online Udemy course, if you decide to create your own computer game or a mobile app, of course, you miss the usual element of teamwork that's inherent with product management. But in order to be successful, you have to do everything that the product manager and almost, in fact, the CEO has to do. You need to know what you want to do. You have to have a vision. You have to know your market. You have to find your clients, and you have to provide the content that will sell. And if you can then apply for a junior product manager role after university, after you can say that during my university years, I was working towards, say, a successful monetized YouTube channel, and I succeeded. Here are my steps I've taken to achieve that. Here is where I made mistakes and I learned from them. This is like the best thing you can offer to the future employer in terms of saying, I have the experience, I did the work, I did all the best I could to be ready for the position, and you'll be miles ahead from any person with a master's or bachelor's degree that did no such thing at all. Uh, can you
Did you
repeat the
get that?
question? No, unfortunately, I
Okay, I
didn't.
said okay. I said there is a myth that product managers earn more than developers. How true is this? And if it is true, why is that so? Did you get that?
There is a myth that product managers, and here's where I'm missing a
That
few keywords.
earn more money. That's pay grade salary. That they earn
Okay,
more
money.
than,
Okay, that's the word
yes,
I was missing.
yes,
Well,
yes.
it's real. There is no pattern here. I mean, it all comes down to the company, its structure, and how skills are being valued. I think that
Okay.
I I have hints on that some developers earned more than me, but it's not about competition. You should be paid the amount you believe you are worth, that you are happy with, and not measure yourself in comparison to others, even if they are on your team. Either you might be working with a team of developers that have very niche knowledge that is not common, that's a language that is not being used, or are so proficient that they deserve the money for their set of skills, and that's okay. It's not a situation where product manager has to earn more or less. It's completely different career path, different setting, and um, and it's not. I mean, I don't think that myth has any merit. There will be companies where the product manager will be the sitting king of the company, making all the decisions, and everyone will earn less. And there will be technological company where the rare skill set will be just more valuable, or will be the only way to get the right people to code in that setting, and that's completely normal as long as it's just, as long there's no it's inclusive. I mean, there shouldn't be any differences between young and old. There shouldn't be any differences between different races or genders. Then if it's all skill based and situational, that's fine. And the product manager shouldn't think anything lesser of himself or depending on the salary of others that he works with or she.
Okay, great. Okay, so let me answer one question from the chat box, and I'll answer from Mr. Jacob because I think Durga's question has been answered already. So yeah, Jacob is saying, is there any initiative or platform set up by Microsoft to help and support young people in Africa or students who are aspiring to be a product manager like you or strive in IT world in general? So is there like, he's asking if there is a support group created by Microsoft for Africans or even students in Africa who are aspiring to be product managers like yourself. So is there any?
I don't know in terms of Microsoft itself whether there's an organized company issued initiative. I know there is a fellow African product manager from Microsoft. And if you give me a sec, I just don't remember his name at the moment, and I'll need to look on my phone
Okay.
that
Okay.
I talk to regularly, that we exchange ideas, and I'll be actually, uh, and it's his initiative to help his fellow African people to get to product management. And I'll be working with him this summer to provide some content to his initiative. And while if you give me a second, I can find his name and put it in the chat. So I'm pretty sure that if you
Okay.
turn to him, he'll be happy to talk to you. He's a great person, and I love all the work he did so far. But unfortunately, I'm terrible, terrible, terrible with names, and though I value this
Oh,
person, I simply can't remember the name. And I'm just looking on my phone to get to find it. So don't worry, I'm still 100% invested with you.
okay, that's fine. Okay, so while we're waiting for Bart to find the name, guys, if you've not looked up the Fore Media Group advertising program, you should do that because they are providing support basically to empower Black-owned businesses. So just visit the link and you will get all the information that you need. I'll be dropping the link once again in case you missed it the first time I did. So just visit the link and you're going to get all the information that you need. So basically, they're providing a free advertising platform for you, and yeah, so whatever industry you're in, just be very, very sure that they have something for you as well. So yeah, whether you're in the arts and culture industry, studios, or whatever business, like I said, e-commerce, whatever. Yeah. So just you can apply via the link that I just dropped, and you're set to go. Okay, Bart, are you ready for us?
Yes, yes. The person I left the name in the chat. The person I was talking
Okay,
about
okay,
is Charles Kithick. I hope I
okay,
spelled
okay.
it correctly. So I wanted to have a written record, and I know that I don't know how you hear me, and I just wanted to make sure that